Okay, Cloudbot, what the hell? Hello, everybody. It is live. I am live. I am hoping that nothing is happening outside in the living or out in the living room, because I am not going to pay attention to it. Cloudbot is spamming. Huh. Okay. Anyway, hi, I'm Dragonmun, and this is my Twitch channel. This week I'm talking about self-publishing when I get to it. I will admit that I am kind of fried. I got, like, about an hour ago, got, the paperwork for the house closing, like, the document that actually goes and discusses the, closing costs and procedures. And in a week, I will be a homeowner, and that's awesome and terrifying, especially since, like, the numbers on that paper were more numbers after a dollar sign that I had involvement in, like, ever. So, if I kind of short out today, it's because that was an extremely anxiety-inducing piece of paper. I'm not gonna lie. But hi, GL. Woo. Yeah, I tabbed out a couple of times too, and that's totally okay. And I may mentally be doing that a bunch tonight, as I just said. I'm really glad that Twitch has a just chatting channel, because, like, I don't want to, I don't know, like, it's less pressure. Like, yeah, less pressure than doing, like, the art channels, and less pressure than, I don't know, and, like, maybe I could do an ASMR channel if I really wanted, but I also can be excited on stream, so while I'm not, like, super shouty, I can get loud, so that wouldn't be great. Yeah. So, what news? Just relaying things from week to week, I guess. Liz posted another tea review, which was awesome. GL writes, just chatting seems a good fit. Just be wary, because trolls might tend to poke around the section. Oh. Well, that would make things interesting, wouldn't it? I don't know if I care. And Whisperfire checks in. Hello! So, alright, little catch up with the news again. So Liz posted another tea review, and I think it's funny that, like, it's the sweet tea, and it still had to be cut with sweetener. I don't know. I'm not going to be sharing that outside of the links for this archive, but yeah, it was funny to me. Then today, actually, yeah, it was, yes, today, I learned that, oh gosh, James, the guy who made, like, commissioned the tarot card deck that I worked on, he is actually closing up shop. Like, he runs a metaphysical shop in, I think it's New Jersey, and he announced today that he's packing that up. But he's packing it up because the tarot cards are doing so well that he's going on a Barnes and Noble and Books a Million book tour for all of, um, gosh, next year, but it starts like later this year. So that's actually super exciting. um, wow. Uh, man, maybe I should do my own tarot card deck. Yeah. So, all right. Okay. And speaking of publishing and self-publishing, that's today's topic. Uh, he actually he worked through a publishing company to make the tarot card deck, and I don't know the situation that the networking that led into that, but boy, I'm won't lie, I'm kind of jealous. Because I have to work so hard to promote Shavoa, and it's not nerve wracking. That would imply that I was nervous. Frustrating, I guess, is really what it is, because like promoting is so hit or miss. But before all of that, when it comes to, you know, making books, you've got to actually. That's the first step. Got. Oh, sorry. I see chat here. Sure, why not? I didn't even see what the sure. I don't remember what the sure why not was for. Oh well. But yeah. So step one in publishing a book: write the damn thing. Oh, the sure why not was about making my own cards. Yeah. The why not is because that is a lot of work. There's what, 70 something cards in a tarot deck? Blah. Blah blah. That's why I'm promoting one I helped with and not one that I'm making, because I want to put the work in for my own publications, yes, but I don't want to put that much work in for that particular idea. that idea can wait. But yeah. It's funny because like I run into a ton of writers, quote unquote, and not to be mean to them, but they literally don't have anything, and they just want to be like, you should buy my book, or kickstart me, or fund me, or patronize, like Patreon, pay me money to write this thing that I'm not writing, and like that drives me insane. um, Gosh, it like also I run into, and God, I love you guys for buying book covers and supporting graphic designers, but if you're not going to write the book, please just hold off buying the book cover. Okay, I get that they're like writing prompts, but after a while it's just sort of a shopping addiction. And so yeah. Part one of self-publishing is to make your damn book. I say make, actually, because I'm gonna cover a little bit of comics here too, because comics are publications as well. GL writes, offshoot idea. I wonder if I can make a monster deck of playing cards. Yes, actually, playing cards are a little easier, because you can actually do like card art for the sweet cards and work with a pre-made deck. I think playingcards.com actually will do that if you wanted to go that route. So I have considered that a lot, actually. I just haven't gone that direction. Okay. And then Whisperfire writes, people who haven't done the work but yet want the recognition for doing the work. That's not new. You're correct. That is not new. And I've come into some creative differences with team members, let's say, on things like that. frustrating. Yeah. So writing is obviously step one. Just make the damn thing. Um, and most novels start off in, well, you know, either written by hand or, like me, I actually typed mine up using Google Documents. Um, and I did that because I wanted the ability to type with my phone, because I'm actually very rarely just sitting at a computer. Like, I can't, like, my day just doesn't, isn't conducive to that. Especially with the first Shavoa novel, I had a, tiny child that I was taking care of. And I would have to carry her all the time. So I literally wrote, like, easily a third of that book one-handed with my phone in the Google Documents. Then, yeah. Most, how to say, like, Microsoft Word is also most people's go-to. And I run into the same problem with Microsoft Word that I did with Google Documents, and that I started, like, I was writing haphazardly, to say the least, and so everything was done in, like, weird chunks, like these scenes that I would have to connect later, I knew, but, like, I ended up making, like, a bajillion documents in a folder with different, like, scene names, and got so frustrated with, like, keeping track of every little bit that I wrote that I sort of sought out, like, well, actually, I started off just asking, like, planning advice, like how to, plot or track these scenes, thinking that, maybe there was a bullet journal style alternative to it. And, well, no, there really wasn't. But I did get introduced to this wonderful program, Scrivener. And let me show you guys. Where's... Here we go. Scrivener. So this is basically like Microsoft Word on crap. Not crap. Crack. I can talk today. Remember I said I was brain fried. Like, in my head I am going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Because of that like, mortgage paperwork. Alright. Yeah, the coffee won't help today. It's not sleep brain. It is overwhelmed brain. But, anyway, so this program, Scrivener, is like Microsoft Word on crack, and it's amazing because, as you can see, it has this corkboard, like, style interface here. And then what they call a binder based off of, like, 3-ring binders, which is cool. And, so in there, I have basically more corkboards, and like, these little note cards are great because I can access them this way, here, or by double clicking, and that's literally the whole scene that I wrote, or the chapter there, and tucked away in there. And then you can see too that I was able to basically write my synopsis on the cards, which is awesome. And then, even further, I'm able to keep my entire series, like, right here. So here's the, what I've been, the calendar chapters, from, 2018, as I was working on them. So I absolutely adore this program, and it, helped me organize those crazy, random documents that I mentioned I was working on before. Now, Scrivener doesn't have, or, well, it does for the Apple version, but for Android and PC, there's not an online version of Scrivener or a shared version of Scrivener. So I did have to like compile everything back together, at my computer. But with this, I was able to just kind of copy paste everything from the little notepad, or what was it? Evernote? OneNote? One of those apps. And I literally just, copy pasted it over. And that way I could draft it real quick, not have to worry about the internet connection to save the files, or, not save the files, which was a problem I had with Google Drive, or And then, since I was just copy pasting, I saved it in a random note card and organized it all later. Yay! GL writes, if you like, or it looks like a it looks like a nice visual way to organize a hierarchy of files / scraps and folders, but visually more accessible. That's exactly it. And the other part is it lets you just like drag and drop to rearrange them. So I had chapters that started off earlier than they ended up being at. So yeah, I wrote my book entirely out of order. That's so funny. And Whisperfire asks, how much time did that take you to organize things? That's the beauty of it. I didn't organize it for shit. Not until after I was done writing. Because, as much as I love to organize, I couldn't. Not with an infant and then a toddler and then a preschooler. It was just impossible. So the ability to drag and drop, the cards allowed me to make a more cohesive thing. Now, how many times did I read the story? So many. And that was even before I got to the proper editing phase with it. Because I would read one card, then click on the next card to make sure that, that was roughly the flow that I wanted. So, yeah. GL writes, my question is, God forbid the program ever stops being updated or being used, could you pull out those bits of files and folders to another program? Like, are they saved in a text or... Oh, well, that's a good question. Because it definitely has its own proprietary file type, but you can export them as individual files in a folder. And those are... gosh, I can't remember what file format that is. It's either RTX or DocX, I think. But both of those are readable by Google Drive and Microsoft Word. So yeah, you can pull the files out of there if you need to. I also remember being able to view the working file once in a zip program. I do not know if that was specifically like any zip program or if it was like WinRAR, because I still have WinRAR. Free forever. Yeah. But the export feature is actually really cool and 100% necessary, because when you're done with the manuscript, you actually can export the entire story in a Microsoft Word document, which is actually the next step, because Microsoft Word is pretty much the standard that, for formatting the thing. And it's not hard to format in Word. Actually, there's a lot of really crazy shortcuts, depending on the version of Word you're using, to just really make that super easy. If you set it up so that you have chapter titles, you can auto build your table of contents with them, and then the table of contents automatically links. So if you save a PDF file from Word, you actually have an interactive book, which is cool. Uh, I think that also carried over to the ebooks, which is super cool. And then, if God forbid, you have to rearrange the files. Apparently, you can rearrange the table of contents, or and it'll automatically sort the chapters. There's all these things that I had no idea Word did, but like you have to, Google search how to do it, because it seems to change every iteration of Word. But, yeah. Let's see. GL writes, sounds like it just squeezes it all into, oh yeah, type, yeah. Referring to the Scrivener file, yeah. It's a good question that you asked about Scrivener too, disappearing, because it's super popular. They sponsored the NaNoWriMo for like ever, the company Literature and Latte. And they seem pretty established, so I'm relatively comfortable with sticking with them. Because like other programs I learned about, like Liquid Story Binder, is absolutely gone, just vanished. But that was an open source program. So, but yeah, no, there's ways to extract everything, and then, yeah. I have most of this backed up in other forms as well. But once you get the formatting done, which is just as it sounds, use this font, print at this size, make the chapter titles this big, put things in italics. It's literally, that. Once you get the formatting done, then you're kind of, good to go on the ebook side if you really, really wanted to immediately jump into it, but I wouldn't recommend it from there. My next recommendation would be to, like, edit the snot out of it. And I personally recommend doing that after you do the formatting, because when you go through and read it, it's completely different. So you catch the typos and the other errors, grammar errors and things that you just wouldn't have caught before because you got used to seeing it that way. So since it's a new format, it's, easier to edit with, in my opinion. And, it's also presentable. So if you have a friend, helping you out, it's, easy for them to read too. And Word has a cool feature called commenting. And Google Drive actually has it now as well, where you can highlight, something and comment on it. There's also an editing mode. I forgot about that. And me and my editor, Patty, utilized this feature like, whoa, it was so badass. Basically, she would go in and make a edit suggestion. And what it does is it makes a comment on the side to show me the edit change. And I could either approve the edit or reject it and write my own. And then it had an edit history so that you could see my response to her edit. And we went back and forth until we had something that we actually wanted there. So that was so cool. Whisperfire writes, grammar is never a strong point for me. I just blurp out words. Well, if you listen to me talking here, I just blurp out words too. And I do it when I'm writing as well. There are literally, like with Zenith, the book I'm working on now, there are literally scenes where I treat it like a text chat conversation with little stars and says, Dragoneer does this, and, then what she says, and then, Judy's response, and it's ridiculous. So the editing phase is where you get the polish on what you write. There's actually a few services too to help with the grammar side of things. One of them is called Grammarly, and if that site were a human being, I'm pretty sure it would have taken a hit out on me, because it literally it hates me. Everything, like, yeah, but it pulls up some good, you know, uh, it pulls up some good suggestions and uh, a couple of really odd suggestions too. Um, like it, I think it's the one that told me that my writing style was like fifth grade, and then it would also recommend like insane, like way too kid friendly suggestions for things. um, yeah, so I didn't rely on Grammarly as much as some do, because like it drove me crazy, and I ended up hiring out an editor. That's Patty again, to help me like really polish everything off. um, One of the things I have the AP style guide for grammar as well, from when I worked on the school newspaper back in forever ago, 2006. um, and the AP style guide helped with a lot of like things that I would trip myself up on. Um, and then, oh, okay. Few things here. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Tell Chris I say hi. And I forgot. Congratulations, you two. Oh my God, that's such awesome news. Did you get your cat Butters the ring too? Because, you know, he wants one, obviously. I saw the photos. Okay. And then, getting back to it here. One of the main things for figuring out the grammar with stories was actually reading. I went and devoured, not fantasy, because I was afraid of affecting my own stories as I was writing, if I stuck with a fantasy genre, but I found a lot of science fiction, like young adult science fiction novels, and, you know, read them and had an eye for seeing, you know, for how the other authors handled their phrasings and, you know, various things. And the more I read, the more I picked up, and the more that it actually translated into like how I wrote. And that was a rather fun subconscious process. I guess if there's any way of saying, you know, to learn through osmosis, that was it. So I would definitely advise that if you're writing to also read, because it helps a lot. Now, I did hire an editor, like I said, and to answer your question about how much it cost me my editor, or to have my editor, I believe she charged me 5 cents a word. No, that might be much. I don't know. The end result was just a little around, like a little over, I think, $500. And she was amazing, because I didn't have that all at once, and she allowed me to pay her in monthly installments. So it took me the better part of a year or more to pay it all off, and she's so great. She is not a, you know, not part of an editing service that they cost like significantly more. She's an independent, like a freelancer, and there are a bunch of freelance editors out there that I came to her because I found a writing group on Facebook, and the writing group was wonderful. Helped me out with like really random questions, like the proper use of asterisks to divide chapters up, because I noticed, as I mentioned, that I, you know, was reading as I was writing this, I noticed that there was a very specific way that these authors used asterisks to divide the chapters. So it was like they were all centered, and then there was the asterisk, and then like 5 spaces, an asterisk, and like 5 spaces, and an asterisk again. And I was like, why did they do that like that specifically? And apparently it's for readability. Just that simple. Um, and it just common thing that stuck around. So yeah. Anyway, but that writing group, I I had found a friend to do editing for me in exchange for graphic design work, and I don't want to call her a flake because she may be listening, but she really did flake on me. So, um, not gonna drop names, but that put me in a pickle because I really needed to, get this edited. I needed some other eyes on it. And so when I posted to the group that I was, you know, pretty desperate for an editor, she stepped up and it was the best thing. Best thing. So, I guess that would be a part of this self-publishing bit. Get in a writing group, like a group of other writers, not a promotion group, a group where writers help out writers. Like, it exists. There's so many of them. And they're getting to the point where they're like even genre specific. So that's probably what the best thing I would say would be to do if you want an editor. But and that's just one part of it. The next step, once you have your polished, pretty perfect manuscript, that's actually a weird step because you have a very big decision to make there. It's whether or not you want to publish traditionally or do it yourself. And I suspected that I was going to end up doing it myself because I sort of had a, not deadline per se, but I had an audience. I already, I did Shavoa for, 12 years as a print comic series. Actually, I can show that to you guys a little bit if my mouse works. There's my mouse. All right. So there we go. Like, I still have the print issues up on my website in the store. And, I'm self-publishing these, but I utilized a service called Kablam to print them. And that was because, there was no other way to get comics out at that time. You had to self-publish the comics. Otherwise, unless you were hired specifically, by the big two, Marvel and DC, getting comics out otherwise was just really hard. So I, had these comics, and I sold them at conventions, and after a little while, Kablam here opened up Indie Planet, which is online. That's funny. An online way of selling comics. So I had stuff on here too for a while. Then I think I took it down after I published the novel. So, but going back to that decision, the big decision whether or not to hit up a traditional publisher or self-publish is basically right there for you when your manuscript is done. Because the reason for it, with self-publishing, you're going to go into the graphic design and the mock-up and, basically the procedures of putting the book together yourself. But if you're trying to publish traditionally, you would stop at just the manuscript because the publishing houses have their own team of graphic designers and their own, people who, put the books together and all that stuff, and the people who, draw and illustrate your your covers for you, or, even interior bits, if you're gonna have pictures inside the book. So, uh, I actually was just like, okay, I know that my marketing is not my strong point. I got my fan base from just doing a bajillion comic conventions, um, and you know, trying to maintain online. DeviantArt helped for a while there. But since marketing wasn't my strong point, I decided that I was going to try to publish uh, traditionally. And I knew that I needed to, well, find the publishers that worked for my genre. And I found not many on my own. A lot of what I ended up finding with Google was, publish your own books, self-publish, self-publish, self-publish. And I'm like, well, that's helpful information for later, but not right now. So I ended up learning about a book called The Writer's Market, and writersmarket.com. They definitely went with the one-page thing here, didn't they? Anyway, as you can see, it's part of Penguin Random House. Penguin Random House is one of those big names in the book world. Yeah, Writer's Market here. This was the book that I wound up checking out from the library. Because we have those resources. So, now I don't have an example of what the inside of the book looks like, because this isn't a clickable page at all. But the Writer's Market is essentially a classifieds, like a gigantic classifieds ad of, to the, or like a yellow pages to the writing industry. And so I wrote so many pitch letters, like traditionally, like, to the addresses that were in the books. And there were a few that had emails, which was great, but most of them were, at the time, it seemed most of them were, traditional letters. So I probably wasted a lot of ink. I'll definitely consider it a waste of ink, because out of all of those many, 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 many letters I sent out, not a one of them picked me up. And that was frustrating, because, snail mail and uncertainty and blah. I, once again, was like, hey, I need to find a way to track this writing thing. And so I made a Excel spreadsheet that was frustrating. And once again asked in the group if there was such a thing for, this. And it turns out that there's a site called Query Tracker, which is for, well, doing exactly that. These, as you can see, they list literary agents, people who are willing to pick up manuscripts. Let's see what they say. Yeah. This was the one that I ended up having to deal a lot with before I found out about this. Email is great, and then the online form is, hit or miss. So, but, yeah, it's closed to queries right now. But, basically, you would write to these, you can use this website to find agents, then you can use it to track, the queries, or pitches that you sent out. I didn't have, these were the ones that I found after, this one's funny, I'll tell you about it in a moment. All right, these are the ones I found after I discovered the website, which is why there's not so many here. I have had probably about 40-something rejection letters from the method I tried before. And I know there's many authors who hang out or hang on to their rejection letters as sort of a trophy pile, or some sort of, I don't know, it was so demotivating to me that I threw them away. Seeing the ever-growing stack just made me cry. So I, you know, didn't bother to list them here, and only kept up with these. Now, I thought maybe this was a stupid, annoyed paid service. Oh, I said paid service because I saw your thing in the chat there. It's not a paid service. This is actually free. So, Writer's Market, yeah, this is not a service at all. It's a book. And then Query Tracker here is free, which is great. Now, Lucienne Driver here, I believe she was the agent that picked up the woman that wrote Twilight. And so her, writing to her was a little intimidating, but she was very clear about what she wanted. And when she sent the rejection letter back, she actually was also very clear that I had inadvertently sent to the wrong genre. My book was not like they have Twilight. Twilight is her genre. That was what she was looking for. So she was very like, it's an interesting idea and it seems like a good story, but not for me. So she was very specific, which was sort of nice. Anyway, but back here. Now, literary agents and the publishing houses, their money is involved, but it's not in the way that you think. Authors do not pay them. They pay authors. Unless you count time, then everybody's paying out the ass. But, yeah, so, and time was a huge factor for me. I basically gave myself a year. No, not quite a year. What? No, it was a year. I gave myself a year to try to pick up a publisher, or to get picked up by a publisher rather, and before I gave up and decided to self-publish. And that was because I had that fan base that I wanted to get to. So I asked around and found a service called CreateSpace. Well, CreateSpace ended up getting purchased by Amazon and turned into KDP, or Kindle Direct Publishing. And the functionality is still here. They let me, I was able to upload my manuscript to them, and they gave me a template, it auto-generated a template that I was able to build my book cover around. And so since I do graphic design and illustration, I illustrated my own book cover. And, let me see. Oh, you know what? I clicked out of that and then I went to go show you guys. Boop. Sorry about that. Here we go. This is KDP, which was once CreateSpace. Ta-da! And then, did I? No, okay, here we go. So they gave me a template to make my own book cover with, and I made it, a wraparound cover. You can't see the spine with this particular thing here, but I uploaded that to their service, and they auto-checked it with their wizard, I guess is the only way to put it, and ran into a few errors, and went back and adjusted and uploaded the PDF file for the cover, and eventually was able to get my book through their service. And as I mentioned before, it was CreateSpace, so there was a submission process from CreateSpace to Amazon, and then however long that took, and now it basically just goes right there. There's sort of a review process, so you can't hit sell now and have it sell right now, but it only takes a day or two for them to approve it, which is great. Now, Amazon is very, very much a um, a monopoly. There's no other way to put it. And they monopolize everything. So um, they gave me a few options for just distribution, and uh, there were some interesting perks for like sticking with Amazon's platform exclusively, but they weren't enough to make me actually want to do that. I wanted to have the global distribution, and so I went for the global distribution. And I knew um, from reading like Barnes and Noble's website that Amazon, or they can get books from Amazon uh, through the global distribution program, which is why I picked it. I didn't know exactly how that worked at the time, but now I have a better understanding. And it's uh, with the global distribution, Amazon lists the books on the Ingram self-published catalog. Now, Ingram, well, okay, if you're familiar with comics, there's Diamond distributions, and Diamond, up until like last year, was literally the it catalog for comics. Everyone distributed through Diamond. Everyone bought from Diamond. It was next to impossible to get comics in a store without going through Diamond. And Ingram is basically the same way. The Ingram catalog is the it catalog for bookstores, libraries, especially libraries, online libraries, like, yeah. And so Amazon, I guess, pays to have their global distribution on there. And I think I remember that it takes a percentage of my sales for that. So it sort of makes sense. Now, Ingram is... We have Ingram Spark, but Ingram is a publishing house of its own. So they, is another place to try pitching to, I guess, or whatever. But Ingram Spark is their self-publishing system. And I'm not sure, because I actually haven't gone through them for any of the books. But, oh, here, this is why I, these are less than they used to be. But they're still more than I wanted to pay to publish. So, since I already had, basically a free service, which was CreateSpace/KDP, well, they're not free. They take it out of the print itself. So that's why the prices of my books are where they are, as I considered that in there. So they take up, they're truly print on demand. I'm not sure what this is. But Ingram was always kind of expensive. They also make you buy your own ISBN number, which is not a bad thing. It's like a copyright stamp, and if I decided to ever pull my book from Amazon for any reason, I have to actually then purchase another ISBN and do a second edition of the book. Yeah, because right now my ISBN is Amazon's. It's not mine, but that I'm okay with that. So, but the Ingram has an interesting template system too, and I recently worked on it for, let's see, let's show you here. Because I know it's in my portfolio. Yeah, come here. This one. There we go. For Too Late to Pray. So, Mr. Lofgren here commissioned me to do this book cover, and he went through Ingram Spark, and he needed, how to say, I worked at the cover at a rough guess, and I was able to slide these elements around, which was a blessing in disguise, because Ingram's templates just seemed like they were just a little off every time. And so we submitted and submitted and submitted this darn cover over and over and over again. It kept telling us, no, it doesn't fit. It's going to get cut off. The words are going to get cut off here. And eventually, gosh, I don't, so many times trying. Eventually we got it, through their system there. And now he's, it's not, oddly enough, only the ebook is listed on Amazon. You can't get the print book of this on Amazon yet. And I guess, Ingram has a grudge, and I really, really hate that, because Ingram is like the, store catalog, but Amazon's kind of the online catalog at this point. I don't know, like, they have the monopoly on all that. And so I feel like, slight traitor to the freelance world, or slave to the corporate, monopoly. But I got my book everywhere in, a matter of days. So that's what it is. But, yeah, I guess, if you want to be, I don't even know at this point. So self-publishing, that's your choice there. Like, there's other services like Lulu. It was just on the tip of my tongue. Or Lightning Source. Lightning Source does, like, almost all of the printing for the tabletop RPGs now, which is cool. And they make some really quality stuff. But, if you decide to, self-publish, there's a lot of factors that you have to take into consideration, as I just mentioned. One of them is, how do you want to distribute your books? Having it on the Kindle, like in the Kindle Unlimited program, sounds like a great idea because you get paid per page read. And, except for there's apparently a money pool that it pulls from. And so when the money pool runs out, nobody gets paid, from what I understand. And that didn't sound good to me. So I skipped that. And I skipped their exclusive things because, as I said, I wanted my book everywhere, accessible by everybody, as much as possible. But not everybody needs that. Some people like the Amazon perks and, get, better deal from that. But also some people don't want, Amazon to even have remote claim by, like, owning the ISBN number. So they go with Ingram or Ingram Spark. And, you basically, at that point, you have to make your own decisions. But, these services do not provide, like, neither of them provide any of the graphic design stuff. You've got to, either hire out or do it yourself. And if you're not savvy, I would definitely recommend hiring out. Yeah. Or, maybe getting, pretty good at, some of the free online graphic design things that are out there too. So, yeah, I don't know. This ran longer than I thought it would, because I was going to talk about marketing next. And that is definitely a weak point of mine, but I can still talk about it. So I guess that's what I will do next week. And I will talk about, how I promoted my book launch, and I guess what I'm doing now with social media. That's an ever-changing thing for me. That program, or that tool that I found last week, and shared the link to, SmarterQ, it's pretty cool. So I will definitely want to talk about the features of that a little bit. And as much as I don't, I would like to skip paying for services like this, no, I'm definitely going to pay for this one. So, all right. And, yeah. So I guess I don't have to worry about a poll for next week because we've got that covered. And before I sign off for the night, though, are there any questions? Give chat a moment. Nope, no questions. Okay, I hope that I covered everything well enough. It was a lot. Okay. Nope, no question. I think it's just me. I think I missed the first part of that statement. So, give you a chance to respond. Ah. Ah. As in chat at the moment. Okay. No, GL is here as well. But it is you two. So, and I thank you for, listening to me ramble. All right, cool. So, all right, I'll see you both next week, hopefully. Catch you later. Bye. I'm gonna watch Loki.